powerful against the Gnar in lane. However, it's rich, and his laning phase has not been his greatest strength here for Nongshim.
I think that the Gnar obviously early has a really big lead, but then post 6, we saw this exploited very well in the game against DRX earlier. Gnar without Mega Form is still very susceptible, and Akali and Viego, easiest setup in your life. And it goes back again to what we've seen so many times, although in this case the T1 composition is very brawl heavy, very short range, very explosive, wants to find as many fights as they can be, whereas the Nongshim comp can afford to play it a little bit more slow, while still having ample amounts of power, right? Like Lucian, Diana is a combination that has a lot of pryos, a lot of skirmishing, so much damage though, and with all this damage and a relative lack of CC, I think that this matchup might be fairly snowbally, which is interesting considering these two teams.
Yeah, I do like that Peanut got the priority pick. His Diana has been one of the more impressive Dianas that we've seen here in the LCK. I think him next to Canyon have been the best. However, on the other side of the rift, we've got some big power picks, right? The Rise has really been rocketing in priority. Viego needs no introduction. Akali can join him on that particular queue as well. And Gumayushi is going to be taking one of Teddy's most famous picks towards the bottom side of the map, and now really gets to fight for his first spot. Here is the AD carry for T1. A very interesting game and a lot to learn here potentially as we get this one going. I love the Ashe Braum lane though. I think that it is going to be a very difficult time for the Kalista Ashe, probably the most famous counterpick into Kalista.
Yeah, it's that or Draven, and even though I'd love to see it, I don't.
Do you know Ashe actually has an attack speed debuff on her Q against Kalista, which is pretty cool.
I mean, also with volley, right? Like it just with both.
Yeah,
no, it's an incredible pick, and that's why I really enjoyed it. I think you can go two directions because they also have the Karma. What the Karma would have provided your comp is basically perma pressure and a much stronger laning phase, but the Braum synergizes so incredibly well with champions like the Lucian. Lucian Braum was a staple bot lane for a reason, right? Like that just makes your skirmishing really, really good in mid to late game fights. And the Braum also makes it basically impossible for T1 to find 2v2 kills, and that's a big one. And I do actually hope and expect Cuz to come mid-game play as much as he can towards the bot side, because I think that once the items come through, Kana should be relatively fine. Sustaining also went for Fleet Footwork, which I think is a very solid call. To play it easy and get as much attention to get this bot side ahead, because while the Ashe Braum is good, I think once the Kalista finds an edge, it is a matchup that can very quickly become a huge problem. And you can just get blown up consistently. And the Nongshim lineup is exceptionally squishy as Rich.
Rich going very aggressive on Dekana here.
I like it.
Yeah. Would have really liked
also
to have
like
Hyper set up is like this one too. A lot of pressure being put on by Gori, but takes a lot of minion damage, which will largely even out that trade. The rest of the attack working out relatively well there, as you saw that last shot doing a fair bit of work. As here on the bottom side, level 2 going to be picked up by T1 first, as 18 to 16 is the matchup here. As we did see it a lot in past seasons, but haven't seen the Ashe tech into the Kalista so much this time around. And as you can see, Kalista was in a pretty bogus spot as far as power level was concerned for quite some time. People thought that the Ashe might work into slowing it down. It did not quite, because Kalista was just broken. Now might actually work as an answer. We'll see how Nongshim are going to play it out, as Gori taking a lot of damage here from Faker's AoE. And there's the Hawkshot doing exactly what Hawkshot is designed to do, giving all the information over to Nongshim. This is cool. I think Ashe is really going to make a lot more impact. As I believe we saw it from Afrika just yesterday, and Leo went for the shield bow build. Did he not?
Yeah, I think he even went like full tank. Like we saw.
Yeah, the Wits End Rage Blade build.
Yeah, which I quite enjoyed, and I would not be surprised if Dr. goes to that as well. Especially like the value of Wits End into an Akali Rise composition is ludicrous, because I get that he wanted to path towards topside, because Khan obviously is having a really rough early lane. Peanut now, he's ready though. Will get spotted by the... Oh, he doesn't see the mist.
Yeah, he doesn't spot Cuz. Yeah, Cuz is going to walk on over. Peanut, decent positioning here, as Cuz will be able to lock down his big Krug, but Peanut stole a bit of it. And you'll take that. Rift Scuttler now on Peanut's radar, and he will be able to pick that one up. Cuz already collected that towards the bottom side of the map. And there he goes, back home again.
Ooh, that's a nice fake out there. Uses the mist to stealth himself.
And then backs on this ward over here.
Yeah. I mean, if there's no wood in that brush, then you can simulate some pressure, right? So I like the idea. It doesn't actually work out, but it's a cute little play there from Cuz.
Peanut, in the meantime, is not simulating pressure. He is just being it whilst walking into that mid lane. We'll get this wave to crash.
And yeah, this top lane getting sacked a little bit. This is something that you willingly accept when you opt into that the Carling to non matchup. This is not surprising. And once level 6 comes around, this matchup becomes a lot less lopsided.
Yep.
However, with the great hovering from Peanut and like the attention paid towards top side, it's really good. He can, because he knows he wins the trades. He has full vision, and like the combination of Hawkshot and Peanut like enabling Rich, super well done here. It's not even something I'd really consider as Faker.
That was like Kellen bullying Faker into flashing over that wall, and he absolutely did. Of course, mainly because Peanut was making his way over, so...
That's big.
Yeah, Faker unfortunately without his flash now, so going to be suffering at the hands of Gori's Lucian, which will be able to provide a lot of pressure. Still, not really too much to worry about at the moment, as TWon behind in a couple of lanes, but you'd expect that, especially up here towards the top side. And let's see how Canna is going to be able to relieve this pressure. As so far, it's just difficult. Oh man,
yeah.
Rich is playing the aggressive game very, very well though, and this is something that we have been critical of him in the past about. So that is good to see.
It's super good. Like I said, I think Nongshim does a great job enabling him here, making sure that he can get the most out of this matchup. Now with the teleport coming through, Kana will hit level 6 soon, and that is where I expect it to become a little bit differently, where Rich is, when he doesn't have Mega available or close to, a single E might take him down, as we've seen that before.
Yep, level 4 this time.
Good enough.
Yep, definitely better than some of the possessions that we've seen. Yeah, we try not to talk about those. And, Doctor, I'm not going to find the volley there on Daguma. It is going to be able to clear out this wave. It is going to be an Infernal Drake start, and T1 look to be moving over to try and collect this one. Peanut is on the top side of the map looking for a potential dive onto Canna here. Can be difficult, but now the Shroud is on cooldown. Peanut gets the control ward down. Oh man, there's the control ward. Canna knows that he's in a bit of trouble. They decide not to go for the Drake though, as the wave does come back towards the bottom side.
8 seconds still Shroud, and it looks like they don't want to go for it. Rich doesn't have Mega. If he does, I think they can go for that. Especially with the Shroud being on cooldown for Kana, but now he can just hold Shroud. Oh, I say, as he recognizes as well that Peanut has already opted out of this. Yep, and they get some Drake. So nicely played from Kana. Respects, is aware of the play that is happening. Cuz picks up a free early Infernal, and slight gold deficit, mainly due to the top side, but outside of that, pretty much as expected here. To the point of, you know, Guma and Carry having more pressure in the lane, making a easy peasy Dragon Steely come through here.
I don't think you're too worried as Nongshim, as of course you have sacrificed the pressure on the bottom side, and so therefore Drake should belong theoretically to T1, as that's a decent little wallop there for Rich, but just going to be tidying up this minion wave, crashing yet another one in towards this turret, and has a 20 CS advantage that will be slightly mitigated by Canna picking up farm turret, but still decently well done here by Rich.
And that's the big one, is does this lead stay the same? Because as Kana, that's what you need to do now, right? Like this lead, picking up this lead as now early, especially with the amount of attention that was paid from Nongshim towards bot side. And it's interesting because when it came down to it, it was 2 visits from Peanut and like a Hawkshot or 2. Like we saw one. I bet there was 1 or 2 more that we might not have picked up on. But that was it. But Rich used that to the utmost extent. Now has the 20 CS lead, and I think a big test for him is to see, can he actually get it past that, right? Can he turn the item lead, the early gold lead, into more? Because if he doesn't, then Kana's just going to get to like 120 CS and Rich is in 140. That doesn't really matter, you know, eventually.
Yeah. We've got Doctor sacking a wave underneath this turret on the bottom side of the map, so Nongshim hard committing to this Rift Herald.
They don't know.
The arrow not available. Oh, there it is. So level 6 does come through.
That's big.
Yeah. And Cuz going to find a little bit of a stun here under Kellen. Has the Unbreakable. Not likely to be dying anytime soon. As Nongshim, with all this extra commitment, are going to start off this Rift Herald If T1 stopped this, then it would be huge, but they don't necessarily need to, as we know there is just a lot going missing on the bottom side of the map. And Faker is going to get the shove here in this mid lane. So, Peanut successfully locks down the Rift Herald. And T1, I guess, not super upset. They could have possibly left Gumayusi there towards the bottom side to maximize the advantage, but they don't do so. Still, a wave or two goes missing, and as you can see, 25 CS is the advantage for this Kalista based on that rotational play.
I would have preferred for I think as T1, you look at that and you go, okay, if you go back into the review and like, guys, if we don't think that we can take it from a relatively even footing, because that was, you know, just a straight up, both teams were there, both teams had relatively even levels. I think there was a slight positional advantage for Nongshim, but it wasn't impossible. But if you're like, okay, Rich almost has Mega Gnar, we don't want to flip it here early. I think that's fine, but you should probably identify that before you move everyone over, because then you can actually find a lead. You know, like you're able to get yourself the shove in, maybe pick yourself up a plate or two, and that way you preemptively mitigate. Because now, yeah, Guma got the full shove-in of that wave, which was nice, and I think he will actually be able to pick himself up a little bit of a lead there, although it is a cannon wave. But it's not, it doesn't offset it, right, when the Herald Ability comes down, because you can see Doctom is just going to be able to catch most of probably everything with how close he already is. Guma won't actually be able to, and now Carrier's roaming, which is nice, but I don't think that Nongshim really have to open up, and it's nice back and forth flows in the early game, and I think it's kind of a testament to the fact that both these two teams obviously recognize that we're fine going a little bit mid to late game. And I think that's a fine assessment for either of them.
I think so too, and I also think that it's okay for Doctom to sacrifice a little bit here as well. It's a utility AD carry. This is something that you know, we here in the LCK know a lot about. Thank you so much, Prey, for playing so much Ashe. And you don't necessarily need to put as many resources into him. They've got a backup AD as well in Gori here in the mid lane. And it's going to be Peanut that's going to be doing a lot of the work here this game, as he's going to turn up towards the top side. They've got a Rift Herald play that they've got in mind here, as we'll see whether Canner is going to be able to survive it. He should be able to, as Akali at level 9, but has thrown down the Shroud in order to make sure that he can get enough energy to clear out that wave. Quick Smart does so. Wave gets eliminated, and now Rich moves down, clears out this vision, as Canner does have the... Okay. He's going to be down to about half health, gets himself out with the backflip just fine.
I set up a bait here with Cuz in the general vicinity. Cuz or Peanut and Rich don't know about him.
Yeah. Well, Shelly's just going to pop up, so they know about Cuz now as he turns up. Both of these two invisible champions underneath this turret should be well and truly fine, but that is a lot of plate gold going over to Nongshim. They're still sticking around, just trying to continue this pressure. Another plate should be picked up by Rich, and he had the Mega Gnar as backup to make sure that he was going to be okay. Just throw everyone away if they decided to dive in.
Nice presence from Cuz there. If he isn't there, if he's on the other side of the map, you know, maybe getting greedy for a dragon that spawns now, then 100%. Kana gets dove there when Mega is available, and he dies as...
That's a flip down from Doctom. He's in a bit of trouble as the ulti comes through. It's not exactly the greatest, but here's the arrow. The turn onto Carrier. Gori comes on in. They turn it immediately, though, the exhaust, and Gori just explodes. Oh, a little bit of a whoopsie teleport there from Gori. Overly optimistic, as we didn't have any teleports on the top side of the map. Thought maybe there might have been some sort of cancel, but you can see no cooldowns have been popped. And so Gori, just a bit of whoopsie.
It's one end, Gori going for an enthusiastic teleport, but to me that signals a Nongshim that wasn't sure whether they're going to win that, because Kalin still has his flash and his exhaust available. And I think that there is a world where if he goes in there, you know, he helps out Gori, then you might be fine. And I think that is the kind of little miscommunications, not being on the same page. Gori maybe going, hey, I want to teleport in here, and then Dr. McCallan would be like, that's a big risk, right? And then what happens now, basically nothing happens. He teleports in, he gets turned on really nicely because of the immediate teleport response from Faker. Carrier using both the summoners to ensure that the Lucian can't do anything. And now you have a 30 CS lead on Gumayusi, who has also picked up a kill on the Kalista. And there are some AD carries in the LCK that can do this. Let's take a look at this play first.
Okay.
Let's listen to the communication.
Eclipse is still pretty good.
Lucian. Nice. 체펠 다 있어 다 있어. 클린 전투 클린.
Yeah, considering the mana bar, I'm going to retract my earlier statement. I do think it was the right call from Khaled and Dog Dump to not necessarily go in there as teleport comes through.
Yep, Nongshim looking to try and fight for this one. Peanut will get in there, but is not able to actually steal this one away. Arrow sails by, but isn't actually going to be able to find anything as Cloud Soul, absolutely fantastic. Carrier gonna get Fate called out, and now Canna's running away. All of the invisibility coming through for both the Akali and the Viego, and T1, they just steal away the Drake and look to escape.
Very clean. So a couple of summoners that have to be used, but nice secure from Cuz there. I don't know about that one, Kana.
This is possibly dangerous as Peanut dives on in. Cuz taking a fair bit of damage as Rich is just going to get tidied up by Canna. Canna looking to escape, not going to be able to as he doesn't get over the wall. So they trade 1 for 1. A kill going on to Gori isn't exactly the greatest news for T1. However, getting kills on Akali feels fantastic.
A little bit more to the left, and
yeah,
you might at the very least stall a little bit, but he did execute well.
Cuz going to face check Peanut once again as Peanut gets aggressive, finds the reset, and there it is. Passive's going to be able to lock him down. The sad beat comes through as well as Faker fighting against Gori, and Gori is definitely going to lose out on that one as Peanut hops on over, looking to try and take Shirley off the map here as well. As Nongshim still have a slender lead, but T1 with their couple of Drakes really feeling like they're setting themselves up for a late game push.
I actually think this initial play is done nicely, even though I would love for Faker to actually join this. I think that going in 2 versus 3 means the play is always going to be a trade, even if Kana does with the blast cone here. Like Peanut, like he still dies, right? It doesn't really change the outcome of the equation there. And I think trading kills evenly as Akali is fine. Then this is a stroke of genius from Peanut to identify that Faker is still going to have to shove out the lane, and Gori can kind of keep him there. And Peanut goes in.
It's a kill and a rip-off. Feels real good.
I'm happy that we see Dianas do this more and more, where they've kind of like realized that once they hit level 6, or in this case level 11, and they have their first item, like they can just pound it to 0.
Yeah.
It's been a recent realization, but one that I'm very happy about is that's first turret blood actually. That's
and Rich actually winning out on this trade for the moment. As the ult, second charge available here for Canna, so that is going to mean that Rich is going to leave. And with the Rift Maker available as well.
It's the payoff of the earlier Rift Tower that we saw placed top side, you know, Rich just need to get in a couple of more autos. Now it's the 1k gold lead, which is quite nice. Also Peanut, especially after that kill, looking good. And then on the bot side is Guma. And that's something that I'm not the biggest fan of T1. I feel like while their team play looks good, individually there's been a couple of backs where Guma earlier backed knowing that Peanut was doing the topside play right with a lot of vision, and I feel like those are the opportunities where it's like to see T1 take a little bit more risk. You do have a big lead on your Kalista, try to actually turn it into more, but this is feeling a little bit more like earlier T1 where they're kind of leaving the bot lane B, and like your Kalista's fat, she's 30 CS up, she has a kill, you probably try to snowball her.
No, exactly. It's one of those things. It's looking very similar to a game with Teddy, to be perfectly honest. Gumyushi, of course, definitely plays different as the game continues, and it's been the more proactivity from Teddy, I think, that's made a lot of people think that he was deserving of his spot as starter, and now I think a lot of what we need to see is going to be more of that later game as Rich getting dove on top of, see whether he can escape, and Faker flashes and says absolutely not, as the arrow going to be collected there by Faker. That's good. Make sure that it was worth it, as Shirley pops down in mid lane. He's going to get a bit of damage to this turret. Minute on this Cloud Drake.
It's nice, as Viego, Cuz was really far behind. Could really use that kill. It's going to feel very good about that one. Unfortunate from Rich, face checking there, taking really greedy pathing without any vision or any immediate backup. If Peanut is in the general vicinity, I think that play is fine. But now, too much of a risk to take, and I agree with you. I think that what we saw from Gumyushi in spring was a player that got these kind of leads and then did nothing with it. And that's what I'm going to be looking forward to in these team fights. I want to see him pop off. I want to see him.
And we know that he can do it. He did have some of these moments, but we didn't see them consistently enough. As Peanut is going to find Cuz once again. There's the Blast Cone. Not going to be an option for Cuz to get away, but he can go invisible. And that's going to be helpful, as there's the Control Ward. Kellen looks for the Winter's Bite. The flash is going to be used as Moonfall will secure the kill on the Viego. Cuz once again a little bit out of position, and once again Peanut gives him the sad beat.
And that was, covering for Faker that I don't think really needed it. You can just secure vision and leave it at that. Instead, gets greedy, goes in too deep, dies here, and that is a free Drake. And that could have been soul point pressure here for T1. I don't know if they still want to stall. I do see the teleport come down for Faker, but of course, 10 seconds away. I don't think there's any way that you can contest this. And that's not the kind of tempo that we were hoping to see from T1. And this feeling more reminiscent of how they looked pre-Gen G series.
Yeah, I think this is actually a huge swing for Nongshim. It doesn't really look like much, right? Like this is just a lone Cloud Drake, but I think what you say about tempo is important as Faker Everfrost Kellen, and Kellen is going to use a Blast Cone, and that is going to be the perfect counter.
And in the context of T1 in the recent series, I don't think this is at the end of the world, because there they very clearly played proactively. They still did a lot of things, but we cast our minds back to the Nongshim series, as we're going to see Rich get killed here. Yeah, just look at the lack of vision, look at the lack of teammates. Shouldn't do that. It's very...
There's a surplus amount of Rise Flash as well.
Yeah.
That was a bit of a problem.
As Cars, just don't go for that. Nice activation on the Blast Gun actually there by Peanut.
Yeah.
To make sure that Cars does not just escape there easily. And that's the reason why you will be worried here as a T1 fan, because T1 is still in a position where if they recognize an opportunity of Nongshim misstepping, dive in, Kana goes in big, Gumayushi is able to weave in and out of the fight, you can win team fights. But as a Nongshim fan, you think back to the last time these two teams were in a similar position and T1 basically did nothing for 50 more minutes, which I don't think that's going to be happening here today.
I hope not. I imagine that they probably remember that series.
I hope so, yeah.
They're going to group up as 4. They're going to push out this outer turret. Kanna doing the same thing on the top side. Should be able to finally get the outer turret up there. But I think it should be traded. It looks like Gari's going to let the minions do the work for him as he heads back. I actually don't know whether he necessarily needed to leave there, but wanted to get the local gold and does so. Rich looking to attempt a defense. And not going to be able to keep the turret alive. Peanut also not going to be able to find a kill, as Kanna is going to intelligently back away, knowing that he didn't quite have the vision to stick around. It is that shield bow build coming through for Dokdam.
Yeah, looking like he's building towards the wit's end, and as we pointed out, I love it. As Dokdam, just survive against the onslaught of Akalis and Faker going in on the Rise. Make sure that a single bounce from a Rise Q doesn't literally kill you, which can happen, especially later in the game. Yep, and okay, this is our exact point. Gumayushi, most fed player in the game. He's now finished his 2-item spike. That's a huge point for Kalista. Has gone for the Rage Blade, which gives a lot more...
He's 40 CS up on the clock, by the way. This is just... He's been hoovering minions around this map.
Yeah. Now we need to see the payoff, right? He has the Rage Blade finish, which gives less team fight-wide power, but more power in more isolated fights, and also as Kalista, if you're only hitting a single target, if you're hopping in the back of the fight, which I think you should against the Nongshim comp, because they're terrifying from up close.
Yeah. I think if you're up close and you're able to use the Runan's Hurricane effectively, you're probably also dead.
Yeah, or you've already won, right? It's one of those situations. So I want to see them use this gold. And the reason why I keep going on about this is because, like you, I think that Teddy, when it came to mid to late game team fights, showed so much more conversion. And that is not
there
good.
Are arrows and moonfalls and all sorts of options. Vision is going to be very important here for Nongshim.
It's unfinished.
For getting some of these picks. It's a spike. Sharilda's also up here for Gari. Bit of a rush on that one, but Faker is pretty tanky actually with the build that he has right now. His Zonya's complete. Peanut Zonya's also complete. He's got the Oblivion Orb on top of it. He is a pretty rich man. And you saw that the Nongshim gold is actually spread quite effectively throughout their carries. A little bit more like Faker and Gumayushi hoarding all the money on T1's side, which is a lot of what we see on T1.
And that's fine if they convert on it rather, which I have to see before I believe that.
This game is slowing down and I'm getting very nervous.
Hey, or does it just give you and me more of an opportunity to talk for 50 more minutes? Maybe we can break that record.
Oh god.
Yeah, no, I don't want it either. But this is also the game where it can be over in one team fight, because both these team comps are very execution based, very squishy, with the exception of Carry as kind of tanky. Rich will be tanky when he is Mega now, but outside of that, everyone just basically dies if the execution is done well, right?
Yeah.
And that is something that we're going to be looking into here, is which team gets a clean team fight first, because both of the teams have the opportunity to. It's on the one hand, Gumayushi staying alive in the fight, Kana finding backline dive, whereas for Nongshim it's hiding a little bit back, going in with big callings, and poking with the amount of really annoying, like, look at that, that's exactly what I mean, you know, all the slows, all the boomerangs, the volleys.
T1 are thinking about just trading Drake for Baron. Oh, that's aggressive.
I think you can do that.
As we'll see whether anyone on Nongshim's just going to go back and deny another soul point.
Kana went for Mask here, which for one-shotting is inferior, but actually kind of like it considering how much damage is already available on his team.
Yeah. Oh, that's the flash in from Faker. Looks for it. Carrier doesn't quite find the lockdown on Dagori for long enough as Faker goes gold, and there's the culling. Faker goes down first as Cuz gets out, but does he? Absolutely not. The double kill for Gori now as Kana dives in, looks for Gori, has to flash to get on top of him, but he's definitely dead as well. Dopdom flashes after him, and now Nongshim think it's time for Baron.
It's only Guma and Carrier alive, and it is a disaster for T1. The attempt from Faker to blow someone up doesn't work as it's the Brom, and if you get Soul for this, maybe it's worth it, but it's not. It's just Soul points, and that's not nearly enough, and it's the disjointed play that we see that is really worrying, because Faker flashes in while Kana is looking for a flank. You need to be on the same page there, because if Akali is there, I think you can win that fight.
And also, Gumayushi still has Fate's Call available, so obviously Carrier wasn't able to get in there far enough to really cause the ruckus.
Oh, Kalin. Beautifully played.
Oh yeah, Kallen's ultimate. Denying Carrier any sort of re-engage or any use of any CC. Just beautiful.
And while I applaud the attempt to go for an aggressive play, you need to be on the same page with your team. If you're going to do that, you can't just make that call while Kana is not in the general vicinity.
라이즈 노플. 라이즈 노플. 라이즈 노플. 아, 아카리 노플 죽여. 바로 가. 오케이. 라이즈 노플.
Rise no flash, by the way, guys, is what he was saying over and over again.
I'm glad he told us that. You might have missed it.
Yeah,
it was,
exactly.
it was really subtle. There was a lot of things happening.
It was very subtle. I didn't quite catch it either. So I appreciate that, Corey, for letting us know. No flash is available. 4,000 gold now the lead. 2.3k already with 2 minutes to go on this Baron as Nongshim are mopping up these turrets. Dopdom as well getting closer towards his Rage Blade as Cuz is going to get spotted on that ward. Now hops into some mist. Kana over to the side as well as there's the arrow. Doesn't connect onto Kana there as he doesn't quite get him in the corridor. But that is still going to be this inner turret falling down. 2 inners remain. Still a lot more money for Nongshim to pick up around this map. I'm getting worried for T1 here, Chronicler. This is after that one fight you mentioned. It's going to be that the next team that is able to execute better is going to have a big advantage. And now, like you're saying, the exponential snowball factor could certainly be a thing. But T1, they can just out-execute in some of these moments. But if they just all in onto Gori, unfortunately, Dopdom's going to have 3 items real soon. And that's going to be dangerous as Rich, still being a nuisance as well on this Nah.
And T1 has a short-range composition with a lot of burst, which means that into a composition that outranges you and that has more poke available, you just need to all-in them. But that's easier said than done. There's a Brom on the opposing end, and that's why Kallen has been so pivotal in how he's played out these fights. This is going to be a bot-side inhibitor.
Just nothing that T1 can do about it as well, as you can see. No. And they have all of this farm and everything is, okay, Kana underneath the turret taking a lot of damage. Boomerang just barely misses as Fate's Call has to be invested as another inhibitor will be taken. My goodness, 5,000 gold on the Baron power play, and Nongshim aren't done yet. They want to add the 50 gold that the Nexus gives you to those coffers. Winter's Bite will connect onto Carrier. That will stop his ability to engage and save this Nexus turret, as now it looks like Nongshim have been satiated for the moment as the Baron has worn off. But my goodness, that was value as Cuz looking to try and find a possible engage option. T1 still not giving this one up, trying to force Nongshim back as far as possible, buy as much time as they can and space on this map, but there's not a lot to fight for.
And ST1, unfortunately for them, I feel like with the gold layers now build up for Nongshim, your best bet is going into the hyper late game, which I say with great
Please
fear.
don't. Can you
With
not even?
great-
I don't want you to say it. I don't even want you to say it.
Great fear and terrible reluctance. I say that, but you're looking at getting Kalista back to 6 items, and then hoping that you can clutch a team fight when Nongshim botch an execution. Because you do have the leeway to do that, because you are, or rather, Nongshim is 15 minutes away from actually getting getting an Elder, right? An Elder is the only thing that guarantees win this game. As T1, even from this deficit, actually from this deficit, I don't actually know. Dogdarm got.
Peanut's 2 levels ahead of Cuz, even in levels with Faker and Canna. This guy is another solo. They have just 3 solo lanes. As Gori and Dogdarm have actually exceeded Gumayusi's lead that he had from earlier on, and we're starting to see some of those Gumayusi problems sneaking back in, but I don't know whether he's entirely to blame. I don't know whether you can necessarily say that this is, the 80 carry difference problem or anything like that. I think that Nongshim as a team have just played a bit better.
Yeah, no, I think a lot better. It's part of the reluctance from T1 can be explained by the fact that there is a Braum that is playing very well, but
connects onto Gumayusi, is going to hold onto the cleanse for quite some time and then utilize it as Canna dives into the backline, but he's more buying space for Gumayusi as there's the solar flare, doesn't quite get the work done as Moonfall is going to be there to follow up. Peanut goes golden, now going to have to flash away as in goes Carrier. He goes golden as well, and now is going to be taken down as Nongshim juggle the aggro so beautifully. Faker gets taken out at the end, and Nongshim should be able to close out this game. It's a 8,000 gold lead. And that just erupted over the last 7 minutes. Teleport to come forward. 1 more Nexus turret remains. There are no inhibitors. I think this is just the end. Gori is going to dive on top of Guma, who will get himself golden with his stopwatch, but in the end, not going to be enough. In goes Rich, finds an ult onto the air in celebration of this Nexus falling down. Eventually does get that wallop onto Canna, and there is the ace. It's 11-4. It's 31 minutes into this game, and Nongshim will find the first one.
It's the same old story for T1. It's what
they just needed
so
to get a little bit of padding of the stats as well towards the end.
And I am